So according to Secretary Mnuchin, we're halfway there, 50% of the way there. We've gotten 3.5 out of 7. Is he right?
Well, good afternoon, David. Good to be here. Well, I think business is a little skeptical of whether or not this deal has actually been finalized. I think we're going to wait and see what happens. You know, the Chinese are saying that they've got to come back and finalize things. But even if they get this deal on this first sort of tranche of agreements, it's not that clear that it goes very far. It seems to be some commitments to make agriculture purchases. Well, the president's announced 3 or 4 times in the past that the Chinese have already agreed to that. It doesn't seem to have any fundamental changes in structural reforms in China. The tariffs that the president has already put on the Chinese aren't coming off right away. So the best we're going to get out of this deal is a delay in any further tariff increases and some kinds of commitments on ag purchases. But frankly, you know, I doubt whether those purchases even get us back to where agriculture was before the trade war began, when we had $24 billion in exports. The real question is, how long is it going to take to get back to that level?
So, Rufus, as you say, there was some stuff that apparently was agreed to, not quite clear in phase 1. There's an awful lot of things in phase 2. But let's go to the question of the December 15 tariffs, because it's clear that they agreed to postpone the ones that were October 15, which would just be tomorrow. How could they have come to an agreement without agreeing what they're going to do about December 15 tariffs?
Well, that's one of the things that's very unclear in this announcement, and the Chinese are saying very little about that. And so far, all Ambassador Lighthizer has said is that that isn't decided yet. So I have to assume that we still have the risk of this escalating further. There seems to be something of a truce right now, but no real fundamental breakthroughs, I don't think. The problem for the president is, you know, he's still between a rock and a hard place here with the Chinese. He's not getting the kinds of structural reforms in their state-owned enterprises and IP and investment policies that he wanted when this negotiation began. And he still hasn't removed the tariffs. And if he increases the tariffs, it's bad news for the markets here. It's bad news for farmers. It's bad news for business. If he signs a deal which doesn't get these basic changes, people will say that his strategy wasn't successful.
As we try to piece together exactly what happened last week and how far it went, it doesn't inform us the level at which the discussions are going to go forward just on phase 1. I mean, you have done these deals. You actually have been a trade negotiator. President Trump on Friday said it's just a matter of reducing it to writing. It's a drafting issue. But now we're told actually Liu He himself may be involved in further negotiations. That doesn't sound like a drafting problem. Liu He usually, I would assume, is not taking pen to paper.
Yeah, I think they had drafts earlier on in the negotiations, but it's not clear that there's a meeting of the minds on what was in those initial drafts and whether each side has moved away from those positions that seem to be, you know, close to resolution last spring. Things have unraveled quite a bit since then. And, you know, I know the administration's putting a good spin on this. They're saying, yeah, we've got lots and lots of things that are virtually agreed. But, you know, until we see a final deal, I think that's all going to have to be speculation. Certainly business is not taking any of it for granted for the moment.